Hi, this is Scott with eTrailer. Today we're taking a look at and installing the CURT Class 3 hitch for 2023 Subaru Ascent. Our CURT hitch is going to be behind this panel, and all you have to do is pop out the two plastic rivets that are underneath, and they're just little pop clips. You pop out the center and pull them down, pull those out. Now you can pop off your panel, just pull back and then pop that down, and now we'll have our hitch underneath. One of the things I like about this CURT hitch is how it's hidden behind the panel, so when you're done using it, you can just have your panel back on and you can't even tell that there's a hitch back there. Another nice thing about this one is it's going to have a really nice gloss black powder coat finish, and that's going to hold up to corrosion, chips, and it's going to hold up and last a long time for you. Now this one also has a really high tongue weight rating, so this is going to allow you to haul your heavy bike racks and even your e-bikes on there, so it's going to hold a lot of tongue weight. This one's going to have a tongue weight rating of 750 pounds, so that's going to be the weight pushing down on this portion of our receiver. Now with that, that's going to be the total of your bike rack with your bikes on it, or your cargo carrier loaded down with your extra camping gear. A lot of people use their Subarus for going camping and going on adventures, and they do have quite a bit of room in them, and they're pretty popular. But it's really nice to have that extra room for things that may get wet, or you're hauling maybe some firewood or stuff like that out to the campsite. If you have a cargo carrier on the back, that's going to really expand the room that you have to haul with you to your campsite. Now with that high tongue rating, it also comes with a rating of 5,000 pounds for your gross trailer weight rating. That's going to be the weight of your trailer and everything that you have on that. One thing you do want to keep an eye on though is you want to take a look in your manual and make sure you don't exceed any of your towing capacities that are in your manual. So usually the best thing to do is go with the lowest number between your hitch and the number in your manual. This hitch is going to have a 5/8 pinhole opening, and that's going to accommodate your common pins and clip. Now this one will not come with a pin and clip, so you may want to pick one up here at eTrailer. Another nice thing to look at is the possibility of a locking pin. Those are nice if you have your bike rack on back and say you're out down the trail and you don't want anybody to be able to take your bike rack off the back. A locking pin is a really good option for that. Now this is going to have your tow hook loops, and they are really heavy duty, and that is going to accommodate either your S-style hook or your Clevis-style hook. Now they are kind of tucked up in there, so you may have to put your hook off to the side a little bit to get it to go, but you will get it to fit up in there. As far as measurements go, from the top of our tube to the ground, we're looking at 24 inches. Now that measurement is really high, so it's pretty high. You're not going to have any clearance issues or anything with the hitch hanging down underneath your vehicle, so you will maintain that off-road capability with your Subaru. Now do keep in mind that is going to raise your height quite a bit with that, so it may be a little bit harder to lift your bikes up onto your bike racks. Now one thing we have is our pinhole opening out to the edge of the bumper, and we're looking at right at about 2 inches for that number. And with that number, that's going to help you decide if you have any of your accessories that fold up, like your bike racks or your cargo carriers, will make any contact with the back of your vehicle. Now there are a couple other options available. Now say you use your hitch a whole lot for maybe bike riding or cargo carriers. Another option you can look at is one that mounts a little bit different, and our eTrailer and our CURT hitches both have options that will actually mount to the frame and actually come down and be down here where you don't have to take your panel off all the time. So those are a nice option if you use it a whole lot. It's always out in the open. But this one's nice if you want to be able to tuck it in behind the panel and not see it all the time. Now, if you have any questions about this hitch, feel free to leave any comments down below, or you can get hold of one of our experts or give us a call here at eTrailer. Now for installation, this one's pretty straightforward, and you will have to take off the rear fascia, but they generally come off fairly easily. It is something you can handle yourself, but if it's something you don't feel like dealing with or you don't have time, you can always take a look at our dealer locator and get something done for you locally. If you feel like doing it yourself, stick around, watch our video, and we'll help you get it installed. To start our installation, we're going to want to get our fascia off. So what we're going to have underneath of our vehicle, where we'll be starting, we're going to have 6 plastic pop clips, and there's a couple different ways you can get these out. You can get a flathead screwdriver and just get up under them that way, which I'm going to do today. Just work under them. If you get one side to pop up and the other side don't want to go, just get under that one with the screwdriver as well. Now these may have some dirt and grit in there, so you may have to give that a little wiggle and a pull to get those to pull out. If it gives you any problems, you can always use a trim panel tool. Now after we get our 6 little pop screws that come around out, what we can do as well, if you want to, you can get this panel out of the way, and this is just going to be your access panel for where your hitch is going to be. You can pop those out. You're going to have 2 more of the clips right here, but for now, I'm just going to leave those in place. With the hatch of our Subaru open, right here next to where our tail light's going to be, we're going to have this plastic panel. We're going to want to get this popped out of the way. So what we're going to do is just pull back on the top and just kind of work our way down, and that'll pop right out of the way. Now we can just set that aside. And behind that, we're going to have these 10mm screws on both sides. We'll just get those removed. Now some Subarus will have a mud flap down here behind your rear wheel. That'll be just 2 screws. You can just pop that and get that out of the way. But ours is going to have just the one little plastic rivet on both sides. Now just a little tip, you can reuse these. What I like to do is just take a little coat hanger or a piece of wire and just push up in the center of our rivet. And once we get that pushed up, I'll get underneath of that with my trim panel tool. And when I do that, I can just pop that out of the way. Now to reuse that, all I have to do is push that pin back up and then insert it and then push the pin in, and it's reusable. Now we're going to have to get our fascia popped off, so one of the things I do recommend is taking some painter's tape and just getting that along your seam where these are going to come apart. That's going to help prevent any kind of scratching. Another thing I recommend is having an extra set of hands to help you pop this off so it doesn't get awkward. And behind here we will have an electrical connection or 2 that we need to remove, so that just makes it a little easier. So starting along the side, we're just going to start working across on both sides, work our way up to the middle, and once we get to there, the center section can be a little tricky sometimes. You might have to give it a little pressure to pop that loose. We're going to have the one electrical connection, and we're going to push back on the back of it and just pull out. Now we can get our fascia moved out of the way. Now on our bumper beam that we're going to have to get out of the way, we're going to have a couple things we're going to need to remove. We're going to have this little plastic sensor. Going to be on there with a little clip. Just get that popped off and set out of the way. And on our other side, we're going to have our connector where our wire was plugged in. Get under that, do the same thing, and we'll set that aside as well. Now to get our bumper beam off, we're going to have 4 on each side, 17mm bolts, and then a nut. With the nut, I like to back that off just a little bit and leave that on the end of our stud. When we leave that on there, what that's going to do is when I remove the hardware on the other side, This is going to help hold it in place so it doesn't fall off after I remove the hardware on the other side. Now that we can hold on to our bumper beam, remove the nut by hand, now we can move our bumper beam out of the way. On each side, we're going to have this little tab that sticks out. Just want to take a hammer and just tap that in on both sides. That's going to give us clearance for our hitch to sit flush. Now we can get our hitch lifted into position. Just want to slide it over our factory studs. And now for this, we will be reusing the nuts that we took off from our bumper beam. And just a quick tip, when you're putting your hitch on, this may look a little different to you, but it's going to have its safety chain loops up top. It's going to look like the hitch is upside down, but it's actually designed to be that way because if you had it the other way, your safety chain loops would be into your spare tire. Now for our hardware, we're going to be using the bolts that come in our kit, and with that, you're going to have your bolt, and we're going to have our conical tooth washers, and these are going to have teeth on the one side. You want to make sure when we get these installed that the teeth are facing the hitch. So with that, we'll just go ahead and get all those put in place finger tight. Now, our hitch is going to have slots in our hardware where the hardware holes are. So one of the things you want to do when you get it all set where you want it and all your hardware is in place loosely, just make sure you have your hitch all centered where you want it. And I'm kind of going off this little reference point back here and just kind of centered up in between this section of body underneath of my vehicle. So now, after I do that and I have it where I want it, I'll come back through and snug down all of my hardware. After we have our hardware all snugged down, we'll come back through and we'll torque all of our hardware to the specifications listed in our instruction manual. Now, if you don't have a torque wrench, you can always pick one up at eTrailer. We have a few options for you available, or you can take a look at your local auto parts store and they should be able to rent you one. After we have everything torqued down, we come back through and put our harness and our sensor back in place. Now we're going to have this little oval hole on each side where these are going to pop down into. But in our kit, we're going to have this wire tie, and I just want to run that underneath of it, push that in place, run our tie through. That's just going to be a little extra precaution to hold our sensor in place. Now we'll do the same on the other side for our wire harness. With those all put on, we can go back through and we'll put our fascia back in place in the reverse order that we took it off. But when you do that, just remember you do have to plug in your wiring harness, so don't forget that when you're putting your fascia back in place. And that was a look at the CURT Class 3 hitch for 2023 Subaru Ascent. I'm Scott with eTrailer, and thanks for watching.